You're listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Come on, kids, sing along. You know the words.
I'm climbing through the chaos, got the truth in my pack. Leftist lies and globalists, I'm pushing them back. From the saloon to the airwaves, I'm spitting it raw. Constitution's my compass, liberty's law. Big gods creeping, shadows on the land. Feds with the schemes trying to bind up my hands. But I'm the Sherpa, guiding through the storm. Red, white, and blue, yeah, freedom's reborn. They spin their tails, but I see through the haze. Media maggots, lost in the maze. I'm calling it out, no fear in my soul. This patriot's fire ain't losing control. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpa's come and remember my name. Sherpa's rising. This judge is twisted, trying to steal our rights, but I'm locked and loaded, got them in my sights. From J6 to the border, they're selling us out. I'm screaming from the mountain, hear my rebel shout. They mock the flag, but I'm holding it high. Stars and stripes forever under God's open sky. No globalist chains gonna cage this land. I'm the Sherpa with the truth in my hand. They push their agenda, but I'm breaking the mold. Their promise is empty, their heart's ice cold. Chicago's bleeding, borders torn apart. I'm fighting for the people with the warrior's heart. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpa's come and remember my name. Sherpa's rising. I've walked the line, 41 years, badge on the grind, now I'm on the air. My voice like a blade, cutting through the lies that the traitors made. Hurricanes rage, but we're standing tall. Sheriffs of the Constitution answering the call. From the saloon to the heart of the fray, we're taking back America, no more delay. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpa's come and remember my name. Sherpa's rising. Hear my voice resound. Conservative Sherpa, freedom's battleground. Berserk Bobcat rolls will never kneel. For God and country, this fight is real.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, where I am broadcasting from North Idaho in an actual free state. I am this guy. I am your conservative Sherpa. And that assumes that you know that I am going to be guiding you through the insidious maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, bedlam, tyranny, and betrayal, as illustrated below. Mark 1, Model 1. You saw it, you read it, you know it, you love it. Please note, what you're about to hear for the next 2 hours consists of my opinions and my opinion only. Opinions only. And there may be other personnel involved in the show tonight. I threw out a bunch of throwing out, okay? I threw out a bunch of invites to everybody, and we'll see who shows up. Well, I see one individual who showed up, and there's going to be another surprise guest visitor who will be calling in just a little bit once I kind of get the show rolling like this. I am doing the job the American media maggots won't. I am fundamentally changing America one leftist diaper at a time, indicating as per normal that we don't water our drinks just like we don't water our conversations. We are still serving stiff drinks in the saloon, along with facts, history, logic, rationality, clarity, proportion, context, tradition, and common sense for normal people. Let's see. Politics, religion, crime, culture, race, sex, science, economics, law. We talk about it all right here in the saloon where the speech is free, but the booze is not. I am streaming live right now on a whole host of places that you can go quick like a bunny and see what's going on. Later on, Spreaker and podcast, you can go there. But you can also right now go to the SHR Media Network YouTube channel, and you can watch us right there. You can also go to Rumble. I'm streaming live on Rumble right now. You can go to X, numerous places on X, on Twitch, and also on KLRN Radio right now, the SHR Media, shrmedia.com, and Facebook, and later on in Apple Podcasts. All sorts of good places for you to go because I am a good guy. You wouldn't believe it to hear some of the stories about me. However, that's okay. Now, here's what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be breaking this down essentially into 2 segments, 1 hour each, because this is a 2-hour show, because that's how this stuff works. Anyway, for the first hour, I'm going to be talking about Canada is apparently angling for some kind of a civil war. Okay, that's really strange. And so we're going to be talking to people about that. Personnel, people, I don't know, maybe like Canada Heavy Haul, who I've had on the show before. He's spoken for a good hour and a half. That was last year. A super dude. And we'll have him on the show. Also with Jack Alexander, and you'll discover very shortly that there is a linking thread through all of this. That will be the first half hour. And then following, by the way, when he phones in, you'll see this. It will be, hey, look, it's Canada Heavy Haul calling in. And then we'll hear him on the phone. He's out driving because that's what he does. He's Canada Heavy Haul all the way, by the way. And so he doesn't have time to set up a Zoom meeting or a laptop or any of that kind of stuff. So he will be calling in on the Mark 1 Model 1 phone, just like one of these right now. And I have another phone that's right over here, because before we went video, I had people call in, and it's like, everybody knew my number. I called them, they called me, etc. And that's how we used to handle stuff before everybody that were my guests. There was a time when a number of my guests didn't have video, and now most of them do, except Canada Heavy Haul, because dude is on the job right now, okay? He's in Canada. He's driving heavy stuff, hence Canada Heavy Haul. And so he'll be stopping in a bit to give me a blast on the heater. And then he and Jack Alexander of Jack Alexander fame will be talking about firearms and possible confiscations and buybacks, air quotes, buybacks. And that'll be for the first hour. Then the second hour, I've thrown it open to a bunch of the people that are at SHR. And I don't know, Rick Robinson, if you are listening, I forgot to invite you, but you do have the link. So you're welcome to come in. Anybody from KLRN, anybody from SHR, and we'll talk about a whole bunch of different stuff with massive amounts of irony. It shouldn't shock you. Anyway, Let's, if we can, get the show moving, because what I want to do now, why isn't this rolling down? I must have done something. Let's go to banners. Let's go to media, and it's not letting me do this. Why you not let me do this? Anyway, that's kind of killed my overlays for right now. But in any event, let's move on. I customarily was going to go to the let me see it, the carousel of amusing GURP, and the carousel of amusing GURP is right here. I don't have any vocals for it, but I do, however, have this. I found this to be wonderful. Maybe some of you saw this, maybe some of you didn't. A lot of people were saying, a lot of people, hey, hello, leftists and Democrats were saying, what a big waste of money. Why do we need to go back in space? You know, as they're saying this to the kid right here. I'm a 76er, by God, who went through all the Mercury and the Gemini and the Apollo programs, and this kid has a great answer, and essentially smoked a CNN reporter who said this.
Why do you want to be here? Why do you love space? Why do you love being a part of history?
We're going back to the fucking moon, that's why.
Why do you
Once more.
Why do you love space? Why do you love being a part of history?
We're going back to the fucking moon, that's why.
I'm sorry. That's great. No, I'm not sorry. That's fun. That's why you watch me, because that's obvious. Now, since we're going to be talking to people in Australia very shortly, Jack, don't go away just yet. And we're going to be talking to people in Canada, and that would be Canada Heavy Hall. He's given me permission to use his name, Kyle Johnston. He will be calling in a bit. I wanted to put this up on the screen. And this guy is from Oz, and he says things right out loud. He seems to lack the filter that BZ also likewise does not have.
We're fucked. It's as simple as that. We have coal because we've got the biggest coal deposits in the world, but we're not allowed to burn the fucking stuff. So the world's rooted, really. It's all right to be idealistic, but you also have to be realistic. And until the lights go out, the idiots that want to be green on everything and not do mining, not do coal, not do anything, they're going to have to go back and use candles and live in tents. And then they'll no, you might fucking laugh, but it's true. You understand what I'm talking about? We're fucked. It's as simple as that. We're not allowed to use uranium. We've got the biggest uranium deposits in the world in Australia. We're not allowed to mine the fucking stuff. So it's all fucked. When half these cunts die, well, the world will be a better place. And then those of us that survive will get it going again. My next door neighbour, I was talking to him, he's a lawyer, so he's not an idiot. Well, he is a fuckwit, but that's another problem. But he said, oh, that's right, you just put plugs along the highways. I said, but if you haven't got a fucking source from the power station, plugs on the highways aren't going to do jack shit, right? You understand me? The people don't understand. They think the electricity comes out of fucking space. But if you haven't got a charging system, which is a steam coal burning power station, how the fuck can you charge your batteries? You understand that? Well, there's a lot of the cunts don't, and that's the problem with the world.
I'm sorry. Give this guy his own damn show, if you would. This guy needs his own show. Well, for a gentleman that has his own show, let's put up Jack Alexander. And to that I say, hello, Jack Alexander, and welcome. Ouch, you hurt your wrist.
Yeah, I dislocated it 3 weeks ago, but God, I miss Aussies of that generation.
That guy was, he's not just regular awesome. He's not just extra crispy awesome. The dude is like,
he is full-blown bogan.
I mean, I somebody who's stupid would say, because not everybody, some people think, oh, well, all the people in Oz, they all know each other, right? And my guess would be, no, you didn't. Oh, hey, look, it's Kyle from Canada Heavy Hall, and let's bring you in if we can. Kyle, are you there, sir?
I am there.
Outstanding. Okay, so
Yeah.
as you speak now, why the hell won't this go down? I'm trying to figure out what is going on with my overlays, and I can't do the overlays. Let's see, can I get down to this? Yes, I can at least put this up On the phone, live from Canada, is Canada Heavy Hall. We were talking, if you just tuned in, which of course you did because you just called, about Australia and also about Canada. Canada and Australia are kind of two peas in a pod these days in terms of firearms, because where Canada is going now, Australia has already been. So, folks, I'm having Canada Heavy Hall on tonight because he'll be talking to us about the things that are occurring right now in Canada. They began, if I'm not mistaken, in 2022, 2023, right around in there. And then
2020.
2020. Okay, good. And again, that's why I'm glad that you're here to set me right. I've got a whole bunch of articles to show people and talk about. And then Jack Alexander is here because he can tell us about, oh, hey, remember 1996? Oh, hey, remember the shooting? Oh, hey, remember the Australian government? Oh, hey, confiscation and penalties, which are remarkably similar to what's going to be going on in Canada. And oh, hey, the Bondi Beach shooting, where the Australian government decided, well, apparently we haven't clamped down enough sufficiently on firearms, so we're going to be doing even more of that these days. Before we start off, I'm going to be playing this, and then I'd like Canada Heavy Hall, which is Kyle. I'd like Kyle Johnston to weigh in on this. This is Mark Carney. And they have passed.
My favorite person.
Oh, yes, clearly. And this doesn't have anything to do specifically with firearms, but it does set a tone here. So essentially, it says that Canada's House of Commons decided to pass an anti-Christian bill that would criminalize quoting the Bible. So Canada plans to criminalize God's revelation about sodomy as creation of only two sexes, male and female. The majority of Canadian MPs have voted to pass this that will allow the criminalization of religious expression and belief when quoting parts of the Bible, I guess specifically targeting homosexuality and gender. It's part of the thing where, you can't write this stuff. And speaking of you can't write this stuff, you'll be listening to this, which is Canada's new Democrat Party convention. They have and they use what are called equity cards. And there's no longer any kind of a real order of speaking, because it's BZ's axiom in terms of the hierarchy of victimhood. There is always a hierarchy of victimhood. So if you want to speak, that hierarchy will be utilized. About a minute of this, go.
There's a point of privilege on microphone 1, then we'll go to microphone 3. Go ahead, delegate.
Yes. Hello. I was standing here with my gender equity card before you called on the previous speaker. That's my point of privilege that I would like to raise.
I will explain the speaking order, which is fixed, that I cannot amend, which is the pro-con rotation. You can move yourself up a line that you're standing in.
I am pro, and I was...
We went...
You went pro, con,
we went pro-con, pro, and my plan was to go con. The speaker at con mic 3 also has a speaking card.
Yesterday, this card was used in an inappropriate manner.
No.
And while I understand in Ontario, we know this is equity, even if this was also used inappropriately in terms of gender. I want everyone to be mindful that these cards for individuals like myself who identify as a Black woman have no value outside of this space.
They have no value, period. This is, I just want people to understand where we're coming from. This is Canada. So if you think that the United States is the prime vessel for stupidity, no, it's not. All we have to do is look north. And if we look further south of the equator down to Oz as well. That's just the intro. That's just to get things going. I want to start with this. And I will describe these things because Kyle Johnston of Canada Heavy Haul can't see this stuff. As I indicated, he is on the Mark 1 Model 1 Teleola phone. There he is on the phone, live from Canada. And when he speaks, that will be up so that you can see who it is that is talking right now. Anyway, this is an article from Canada. Legislation to reduce gun violence receives royal assent. Now, this is back in 2023. And after I read a portion of this, then Kyle, I'd like you to weigh in because you mentioned the year 2020. And then I'd like to go back and have you indicate, okay, what happened at 2020? This is dated 2023. And it says today, Bill C-21, an act to amend certain acts and make certain consequential amendments about firearms, received royal assent, immediately bringing into force a series of measures to combat gun crime, including the National Handgun Freeze, new red flag laws, also known as emergency weapon prohibition orders, and increased penalties for firearm smuggling and trafficking. Now, that was 2023. Kyle Johnston, you mentioned 2020. What occurred in 2020 that's of note?
So what occurred in 2020, in April of 2020, we had a mentally ill person in the province of Nova Scotia that went around posing as a police officer and pulling people over and shooting them. He killed, I think, 20 or 22 people. So they actually used that for the initial gun grab, where they banned all the pistols in the country. You weren't allowed to transfer them, use them, or sorry, you could still use them, but you couldn't buy any more, couldn't sell them, couldn't transfer them. You can't pass them down to your kids anymore. So they used that for the initial gun grab, but of course it's a slippery slope. The more you give, the more they take, right? So in 2023, like you said, they created the next one, the OIC, where with an OIC, which stands for Order and Council, which basically is, I decide I'm going to do this and I'm going to write it into law with no debate, no legislation, no talking or consulting. It's just, I'm doing this with the stroke of a pen and you got to listen to it. And that was initially, they were trying to get rid of all the semi-automatics, which is, there's a lot in this country. Excuse me. And they banned, I'm trying to think, initially 2,000 guns that were, one day they were legal, the next day they weren't. And then they came out with another one. They updated it, quote unquote, and banned a bunch more guns. And I think 24. I could be wrong on the date. The only reason I bring that up is because there was a gun manufacturer that created a gun that followed all the new laws, and the new gun grab after the initial one made it so that gun was illegal. So it just kind of goes to show that it had nothing to do with public safety. It's just the gun was black and scary and we need to get rid of it.
Let me go back to an article that I have up right now. It's a different article. It's from the government of Canada. It says agreement with industry is latest step towards firearms buyback program. As you mentioned, 2020. And the first point is Canada's ban on assault-style firearms. On May 1st, 2020, Canada prohibited more than 1,500 makes and models of assault-style firearms designed to sustain rapid fire through regulatory amendments. Now, let me clarify, rapid fire. I don't see the word automatic here. So I see semi-automatic. Was this the point, even though they don't mention semi-automatic? Kyle Johnston, Canada Heavy Haul.
Yes, that was the point. Because they're very sneaky with how they word things. Because they know if they word things a certain way, then it has like a broad stroke for everything else. So if they come out and say, we want to ban fully automatic weapons, which in Canada they've been banned, I think, since the 70s. There's very few automatics left. Yeah, there's very few automatics left. There is still some around that were grandfathered into the new legislation, but you can't buy them anymore or anything like that. So they have to word it, like you said, rapid fire, quote unquote, because then they can say, well, semi-automatics are covered by that. Quick action, bolt action rifles could be covered under that. Bump fires, the bump stock guns can be banned by that. It's just a very broad-stroked word, right?
Well, it goes on to say these prohibited firearms are of tactical and or military style design and function.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mention anything, because leftists are saying that firearms should be used for hunting, and that's the only thing that they should be used for. So I speak leftist, so I'll translate, which says essentially these things are black in color and they're scary. They're very, very scary. There's things on them. I don't know what they are, but they're scary. There's that little triangle thing on the front that's scary, and these grooves in the top, and that's scary. And they have a handle. The handle is scary, and where that wood should be, it doesn't look like wood, so it's scary too. And there's something on the top, and more of these also other appurtenances. 5.56223, by the way, folks, is not military. It's not a military chamber in the United States of America. 6.82 is the military chambering in the United States of America. I should have researched this, but offhand, Kyle Johnson, do you happen to know what the military chambering is for assault rifles? Because they're scary.
For the Canadian military?
Yes, please.
I believe it's 7.62.
Okay. All right. Which?
Yeah, but that being said, sorry to interrupt.
No, that's okay. Please.
I believe the reason they don't want the 5.56 anymore is because 5.56 is the NATO chamber, right?
Oh,
That's
okay.
Like all of NATO runs 5.56. So, kind of back up a little bit when you were talking about military use rifles when you were reading through there. A few of the guns they banned were 22 plinkers, which we all know 22 plinkers are made for, popping gophers or pop cans or little steel targets. They actually came out and said, in Canada, we're banning these rifles that are designed for, quote unquote, military use, and we will confiscate them and send them to Ukraine to help on the battlefield. That's what they said. You can Google it. They came out and said they're doing that, and everybody who has these sport rifles in 22 caliber, they're like, have you ever used a 22? Right? Like, it's one of those things, like, they'll never be on the battlefield.
Okay, what you missed when you said gophers and 22 is you missed Jack Alexander right over here chortling and snurfing, because those 22 short and long rifle will be sent to Ukraine for them to kill tanks, by God. I don't know. You can't write this stuff. Now, tonight, I want to indicate that I'm BZ. You're in the saloon. We're going to be talking for the first hour about Canada angling for some kind of a civil war. We'll get there. I'm setting the background for that right now. Over here, Jack Alexander. On the telephone is Canada Heavy Haul right there. And I am BZ. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
In a world where leftists are running out of metal for the safety pins of their soothing red diapers, one man stands alone, attempting to fundamentally change America, one leftist diaper at a time. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, is guiding you through the maelstrom of Democrat leftists and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Listen to BZ Saloon on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central, and 11 p.m. Eastern on the SHR Media YouTube channel, Twitch, KLRN, Rumble, and X at BZ Saloon. It's one great late-night conservatarian talk radio show. Be there. Aloha.
Hello, friends. You have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRN Radio.
It's Sean from the Edge of Liberty. Just like the Bidens, I too am moving. Only in my case, it's days and times. That's right, you can now find the Edge of Liberty Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on 11 Eastern on the SHR Media Network. Join me as we talk politics, news, alcohol, fun, not so much fun, clowns, small kittens, large kittens, dogs, amoebas, and anything else that just pops into my mind while I'm on the air. That is Monday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast, on YouTube, X, KLRN Radio, Facebook, Twitch, and anywhere else a good podcast is found. Please check out our website, shrmedia.com. I will see you live on the air.
Attention, all patriotic women of faith. Yep, I'm talking to you, sis. Are you looking for high-quality, super soft apparel that reflects your love for country and your devotion to God? Look no further than Carry Girl Gear. Picture this. You rocking a tee so soft it's like being hugged by a cloud, all while showing off your love for God and country. Sounds dreamy, right? Well, welcome to reality, babes, because that's what we're all about here at Carry Girl Gear. We specialize in super soft tees, tanks, and more, designed specifically for the strong, patriotic woman who proudly wants to carry their message of faith and freedom. When you shop with us, you're not just getting a t-shirt. You're joining a community of like-minded women who are proud to wear their beliefs straight on their tees. So whether you're sipping sweet tea on the porch or leading the charge for faith and freedom, do it in a Carry Girl tee. Because life's too short for stiff, boring tees. CarryGirl.com, where faith and freedom meets fashion.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being, and in the good that comes from exercising these rights well. The founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
I'm BZ. Welcome back. We're here with Jack Alexander off to my right here as you're watching. And we're also with Canada Heavy Hall, who is on the phone. Tonight, the story for the first hour is this. Canada is angling for some kind of a civil war. They're talking about gun confiscation. And the reason we had Jack Alexander here tonight is because, hey, look, this is weird. This is something that has happened before with Jack. So in terms of Jack Alexander, tell us a little bit, if you would. Let me see if I can put this up. This began the situation in 1996 in Australia. This was the National Firearms Agreement.
Yeah.
And that stems from a particular act that occurred in 1996, or was it 1995 where that shooting occurred?
Actually, there were a couple of shootings. The
One
biggest
was
one
the
being
Port Arthur.
Port Arthur, I think, was 96.
Okay.
You got to remember, 96 was also the year that I was injured in the military in a mid-air helicopter crash. So part of that year and into 97, I don't remember. But this all came in, and not every state was on board with it. Queensland and Western Australia, and I think the Northern Territory as well, also fought against it because the majority of those states, it's either I don't want to call it wasteland, but most of Northern Territory is what you would classically call the outback. Much of Queensland is either agriculture or mining. Same with much of Western Australia. And those three states also have the majority of the animals that give Americans nightmares when it comes to basically everything in Australia wants to kill you.
Everything in Australia
all the
wants to kill
nasty
you.
bites are in those three states. So, but because we have a single collector of taxes in this country, the federal government collects all the taxes, even those state-imposed taxes, and then redisperses them out there. The then John Howard Liberal government, and for those people that don't know, the Liberal Party in Australia is supposedly the Conservative Party.
Like the UK.
Yeah, well, yeah. Now, if the Liberal Party are the Conservatives, just how bad is the other side? But what the Howard government said is, well, if you do not sign on to these laws, you're not going to receive the taxes that we've collected on your behalf, essentially bankrupting those states. And, so they were ironically held at the barrel of a gun until they signed on.
Okay.
And
can you pause right there for a second? Let me go back to Canada Heavy Haul, who I know is still on the phone. So is that any kind of is the gun buyback program, Kyle Johnston of Canada Heavy Haul in Canada speaking live with us right now, does the gun buyback have anything to do with either comply or whatever taxes are to be collected? We'll just keep them from you.
No, because we have, like Australia and Jack was mentioning, we have a federal income tax, but we also have provincial income taxes as well. And the province kind of controls where the provincial tax money goes. So we don't have like a nail in the coffin situation where if you don't comply, we won't give you money. Excuse me. So the whole buyback part is because technically the government cannot take property that isn't theirs without offering compensation, because it's written into our Charter of Rights that they just can't come in and say, well, this is ours now, too bad, so sad. So that's why they have this whole buyback program, which ended March 31st, I believe, and then the amnesty ends on October 30th. Just to say, hey, we'll give you money for the guns that we prohibited, because we kind of know was a last minute type thing, right? So, and it was also kind of an incentive for people to declare the weapons they have, which, as we all know, 98% of the gun owners flip the bird to the government, and it's failing miserably.
And like that, they were offering when they had the buyback in 96 through to 97. Here, when it first was proposed, they said, okay, we will pay a reasonable price for the weapons that are coming in.
Oh God!
Then they realized how much it was going to cost them.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, reasonable compensation became scrap value.
That's exactly what happened here too, Jack. They said, oh, we'll pay reasonable fair market value, and then they realized some of us would spend, $8,000 to $12,000 on a gun.
And the other thing they did here, and I got caught with this, when I was, I waited until the last second. I tried every legal avenue I could to export the weapons out of the country, which would have met the terms of the law, and receive fair compensation for it. I had places in museums in the United States, because I had a fair few historic military weapons, and they would have loved to have had functioning versions in their collection. So I could have gotten really good value for it. I would have had to have paid more in income tax than they wound up paying me, and capital gains tax. But no, these had to be destroyed. But what they got you on Was that, well, look, bring your weapons in, and we'll give you a quote on what you're going to give with them. What they didn't publicize was once those weapons walked through that door of that buyback center, they had secretly snuck in an amendment in the middle of the night that it was then a crime to remove those weapons from that site. So I've taken mine in to at least get some sort of quote. And no, this is bullshit. I'm going to continue fighting this in court. And they said, well, you've brought them in here now. You're fucked, mate.
They
Because
belong
if
to
you
us.
walk out of here with them, we will arrest you.
Let me go back to this if I can. And I'm putting this up, Canada Heavy Haul. This is back to a government of Canada site. It says now, and Jack, I want you to weigh in on this, because is this what happened also in Oz in 96 and also after Bondi Beach? It says phase 1 for Canada. Buyback for business and industry. Business and industry. Okay, what does that mean? First phase of the program involving industry is expected to begin later this year. Now, this was 2023. The government of Canada, working with the Canadian Sports, Arms, and Ammunition Association to assist firearms dealers, retailers, and manufacturers on the delivery of the program and to represent industry's interests. So this is where I boomerang around and ask you, Canada Heavy Haul, Kyle Johnston. So is that the point of Canada as well? Are they going now? We know that they're aiming their sights on individual citizens, but is the government also looking at firearms dealers and looking at retailers and looking at manufacturers? Is that where they're going? And that's it. So the goal is to what? Shut them all down?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they're trying to do. You know, cut the head off the snake and then the body dies, right? That's kind of their plan. But the biggest reason they decided to do that is because retailers will drop $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 on inventory, and like I said before, overnight they became illegal, and now they're stuck with these guns. You know, $300,000 worth of guns they can't sell, so they could probably end up having major lawsuits saying, "Well, because you decided this is bad now, I'm out all this money, so I need to be compensated for this." And I think that's why they went that route.
In Australia, what they did, the government actually didn't compensate businesses. They put an exemption in that year in the tax code that allowed for the weapons were seized, and they were allowed a one-time tax write-off against their income tax for the year.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, so we got the better deal, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Oh, there was no real dealing in there. Yeah. I mean, and what it's looked like is going to happen now in Canada is what happened with us, is that if you don't hand them in, once the buyback was over, you were instantly a criminal here. There's none of this amnesty period after there was no amnesty after the buyback. But during the buyback period, if you had not handed in your guns, I mean, for the better part of 6 months, I was getting a knock on the door from police, from the firearms registry office, saying, "Look, we know you've got these guns. If you don't hand them in at the end of the buyback period, we're coming here. We're going to arrest you."
So, question for you, Jack, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys have like a registry for your guns, even like long guns and non-restricted? Okay, see, Canada does not. They tried to push a registry back in the early 2000s, and it failed miserably. They said it was only going to cost like $2 million, and it ended up costing over $2 billion, so they scrapped it. So luckily, we don't have to register our non-restricted weapons. The restricted weapons, pistols and stuff like that, we have to register with the police, but all our hunting rifles and the guns that actually are prohibited now are not registered, so the government doesn't even know we have them.
Yeah, in the early stages, we didn't have a registry in some states. In Queensland, where I grew up, there wasn't a registry until they snuck it in after the Hoddle Street shooting, where a disgruntled Army Reserve veteran with a bolt-action rifle opened fire on a train station in Melbourne. Then they sort of snuck in a registry in all states then. But that also included, and this is where it gets really messed up, BB guns. And I am talking about your Daisy BB gun.
Wrist rockets.
Under Australian firearms laws, your Daisy BB gun, your break action, $50 special from Walmart is considered a firearm. Paintball guns are considered firearms under Australian law.
Compressed air spear guns.
Yes, compressed air spear guns have been made illegal. They wrote the law intentionally vague, but specified if it used the expansion of gas, whether by piston, compression, or chemical or pyrotechnic action. Electronic or magnetic means. So you can't even build a rail gun or play around with anything like that. Even to the point now where we have registration in Australia that if your toy Nerf gun exceeds a certain FPS rate, it is deemed a firearm. Gel blasters are illegal in Australia because they are firearms under Australian law.
Let me go back to Canada Heavy Haul for a second. And by the way, Canada Heavy Haul, thanks for taking the time to be here tonight. My guess is that you've probably stopped driving for the night because it's so late and it's dark, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm going to go to an article and then I'm going to ask you and see if you happen to know about this. There's another article from Canada, the government, which is talking about the CSAA, which is the, Canada Sporting Arms and Ammunition Association. And they're going to be working in conjunction, they say, with the Public Safety Board in the first phase of the buyback and whatnot. So did they involve, to your knowledge, Canada Heavy Haul, Kyle Johnston, did they involve the industry side of that? So they're going to be working on behalf of the Canadian government, and those will be the locations where you turn in your guns for the buyback at these dealers and whatnot. Is that kind of where these transactions are supposed to be taking?
No. So in order to surrender your weapons, you have to go to the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Okay.
Because the guns are heavily restricted, but they're also not. Like it's a very gray area about how our gun laws work. But one of the things is if we do surrender a weapon, they have to go to the cops. They have to go to the police. We can't just go back to the dealer and say, I'm surrendering this weapon, or I go to, Joe Blow in the street and say, I surrender this. You have to surrender to the RCMP, and then they'll either A, destroy it, or B, take it. Actually, no, I think they just destroy it. Yeah, if you surrender a weapon, they just destroy it. They won't even put it back in circulation. They'll just flat out destroy the weapon.
Okay. And the other
in 96, they were forced to destroy them here, mostly because in a previous gun buyback, Victoria Police, and this links to Port Arthur, when they banned assault-style weapons in the state of Victoria, they were handed into police. Victoria Police then packed them up, put them on a truck, drove interstate to Adelaide, the capital of South Australia, and sold them at a gun show.
To whom?
Well, one of the people who purchased some of those guns was the perpetrator of the Port Arthur shooter.
That's right. I remember hearing that.
Okay, so in what fucking world does that make sense? You confiscate, you literally take firearms or a buyback at rates that are usurious, well, less the opposite of usurious, at rates where they're not worth, like you said, they're worth the slag that gets created from their burning, etc., melting. But yet, of those firearms that don't go through there, they resell them. They can't resell them to citizens.
And on top of that,
So go back, Jack,
from
go back. To whom did they sell them if they can't sell them to citizens? Did they sell them to countries?
No, they sold them to citizens in a state where these guns were still legal.
Oh fuck! I'm
this was at a time when they didn't even offer compensation. They said these guns are now illegal. You have 3 months to hand them in, or because of the registry, we know who you are, and we will come and arrest you. So, like dumb sheep, all of these people that had their guns on the registry rocked up, handed them in. Victoria Police either kept what they officers kept the stuff they liked, because some 50 police officers were charged a few years later for possession of these guns. When they traced them back, these were handed in during the buyback, during the hand-in. Or they were sent over to Adelaide or to other states where they were still legal and sold at gun shows, and that money propped up the coffers of the police budget.
Okay.
Why does that not surprise me?
I bet you there are public bureaucrats in Canada at the moment who are aware of what happened in Australia and are already booking the trucks to transport them south of the border and start selling them in gun shows in the US.
Okay, so I have to say there are two things I learned tonight that are very important, and I want to make note of them. I was under the mistaken assumption Jack Alexander from Australia, who is here on my, let's see, point the right way, BZ, right there. This direction over here. This is Jack Alexander. Well, it says so right there. I was under the assumption all these years, Jack, that it was every state that complied, but yet apparently there were states that said that proffered the high fickle finger of fate and said, essentially, you can go to hell. And it is to those states that the firearms were sent.
Not quite. Certain states like New South Wales and Victoria, after a couple of minor incidents, already put these bans in place on most semi-automatic weapons.
Okay,
and I'm not even talking
you are in Victoria.
I'm in Victoria at the moment, yes. Where Queensland, Northern Territory, Western Australia, in Tasmania at one stage when I was a kid growing up, you could buy fully automatic weapons, full machine guns.
So ultimately, Jack Alexander in Australia, did every state comply with these firearms laws?
Ultimately with the 96 rules, yes. Eventually, every state was forced to comply.
Okay.
Some states were already roughly in that place beforehand, like New South Wales and Victoria. Other states, as I said, at the barrel of a gun, or sorry, at the purse strings of getting their taxes paid to them, were forced into compliance.
Okay. Now, I think it's also very important to make this distinction as well between Australia 1996 and on, and also Canada, which is that you had a registry, a database that law enforcement could access and then find out who was, as far as that database knew, who was in possession of a firearm. Then, on the other hand, Kyle Johnston, Canada Heavy Haul, is saying that there is no such animal in Canada. And then now that tends to make sense to me, because a lot of leftists were boo-hoo-hooing about, we didn't get all the guns that we wanted. And that's because now truly because of a lack of a centralized database. Hello, Second Amendment lovers and the federal government and the BATFE, you guys don't have one, although sub rosa, it's acknowledged, by the way, if you guys didn't know, that BATFE also does, in fact, have a database that they've created all of from your forms that you sent in to apply. They're not supposed to, but they do. You know, it's like, shh, best kept silent secret, but it's not a secret. So now that begins to make sense to me. We have about 4 more minutes before the top of the hour break, and I am going to be taking a top of the hour break. Canada Heavy Haul, Kyle Johnston. And again, thank you, sir, for being here tonight and weighing in on this, because you have insight that I and the other people here, we do not. Now, there's another, I guess, for lack of a better word, another drop dead date coming up here. And I'm reading from the Canada government website. And it's right here. I might as well put it up. It says, why? And Jack, I'm guessing that your country, Oz, said this too. And the irony is so stilted and so dripping. But these are the government words. While participating in the program is voluntary, compliance with the law is not. Businesses and individual firearms owners must safely dispose of or permanently deactivate their assault-style firearms. Hello, I speak leftist. Rifles with scary appurtenances. Oh, they're scary. Before the amnesty period ends on October 30th, 2026, or risk criminal liability for the illegal possession of a prohibited firearm. So we have 2 minutes before the top of the hour break. I haven't hit all the stuff here about the 2A concerns in Australia, and particularly the 2A, although you guys don't have a 2A, concerns in Canada as well. So we're going to continue with this after the break, because there are other articles that I wanted to get to. And again, thanks to both of you for being here tonight, Canada Heavy Haul and Jack Alexander, for providing everyone who's listening and watching right now with insight on how a government handles this. And as I said on somebody else's show, either that or on my own show last week, I said, we have had firearms confiscations before in the United States. There's a video that went viral during Katrina of officers from, I think, NOPD going into little black ladies' homes and taking by force their firearms during Katrina. So when you say, oh, it hasn't happened, it can't happen, bullshit. It has happened and can happen here in the United States. Well, it is time for the break. I just talked myself into the top of the hour break. So it is 8:59 Pacific. It is 10:59 Central. And it is 11:59, almost midnight Eastern. I happen to be BZ. That's Jack Alexander right up there. And with us also tonight and coming back, and again, thanks for donating all of this time, is Kyle Johnston, Canada Heavy Haul. So thank you, folks. I will be right back after this. And by the way, I should say, I can still access this. Lord knows why. I don't know how the hell that happened. I'm going to have to figure out how my graphics got stilted like that. But the bottom line is, next week, important programming and important safety tip and show notes. The Saloon is going to be renovating, and some certain changes will be occurring next week. And with that, thanks for being here, folks. We shall return after this.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Listen in to the Reaver of Common Sense, where we cut through the noise of news and politics with a show equipped for bombast. Tune in Mondays and Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. Pacific, featuring a refreshing dose of reality. Jersey Joe fearlessly tackles the tough topics with no nonsense. Just pure common sense. Visit shrmedia.com, where you can hear the Reaver of Common Sense in action. He may not always be polite. He may not always be refined. But one thing's for sure. He always tells it like it is.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? Then check out Seven Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with Seven Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com. 7armors.com. Faithful, vigilant, steadfast, passionate.
Are you looking for bold, honest conversation about the issues shaping America? Well, let me welcome you to Unleash 101 with Jeremy Hansen, where we take you beyond the headlines. We dive into politics and culture, the struggles of everyday life. It's raw, real, and unfiltered. If you're ready for truth with a punch, pull up a chair and join us. That's right, Unleash 101, where real talk feels like home. Find us at unleash101.com, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and more. We look forward to seeing you. Unleash 101 with Jeremy Hansen.
Freedom. One nation in all of human history was built on that bedrock. Ours. A republic of the people, by the people, and for the people. Self-government requires freedom, just as freedom requires an individual willingness to self-govern. Freedom has made America exceptional, but it can only last as long as you and I seek the good, as expressed by the laws of nature and nature's God. It can only last if you and I choose to act as people of character. Forging character has been the pursuit of Hillsdale College since 1844.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And I'm BZ. I am back. The show tonight is Canada. Are they angling for a civil war? What the hair is going on in Canada? And for that matter, what the hair is going on in Australia, in Oz. And for that reason, we have the loving, smooth-talking, glib, and lugubrious Canada Heavy Haul on the phone. Kyle Johnston, thanks, sir, for being here tonight. I remarkably appreciate it. We had on before, I'll add this to the program, on October 30th in Canada this year, then the amnesty period ends. And so my question to you, Kyle Johnston, up in Canada right now, what's the government saying about what's going to happen? In other words, as you indicated, which I did not know first hour, is there is no central database of firearms like Australia. And because of that, they don't know for certain who may or may not have firearms. So with that knowledge, how is it, Kyle Johnston, that the government believes that it's going to be, in other words, what's it going to do? Will it knock on doors? Will it ask kindly, do you have a firearm? Can you turn it in, please? Because now, after October 30th, this year, amnesty is dead. So if somebody is stupid enough to say, oh, hell yeah, I got a firearm, it's right over here. What's the nation Canada going to do? Or have they said yet? Kyle Johnston.
So that's a bit of a long answer. So, like I said before, we don't have a long gun registry. We have a registry for restricted firearms, pistols, and fully automatic weapons, and stuff like that. Like I said, fully automatic weapons were banned, but they're still around because they grandfathered in, so they're highly tracked where they go. Same with pistols, because in Canada's eyes, they're designed for one use and one use only, and that's to kill people, not for sports or anything else. So, that being said, all hunting rifles and all the guns that they banned in these last OICs and legislation, they're not registered whatsoever because we don't have a registry. So they say they're going to go door to door. I highly doubt that will happen because
where are you going to find the people?
Pardon me?
Where are you going to find the people? Where are you going to find the law enforcement officers to be able to do that?
Well, and I was kind of getting to that. Like I mentioned to you before on X there in a couple of comments, 75% of the country, including provinces and police forces, have publicly come out and said they are not going to participate in this. So the clear majority of the country says we're not doing this.
Wow.
So, yeah, where they're going to find the people, I don't know. The latest I saw, Gary, however you pronounce his last name, who's not even a Canadian by birth, he's an immigrant, which by all means, if you come here, fine, I don't care. But you shouldn't be making laws if you don't know what you're talking about. He said they're talking about bringing in veterans and off-duty police or retired police members to go door to door and start asking for guns.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ask any veteran or any off-duty or retired police member, such as yourself, say, hey, go to that guy's door. We know he has guns, and tell him you wanted to take your guns or take his guns. What are you going to tell the person who's telling you to do that?
Here's my response. Right? It's visual, which you don't see.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if that's going to happen. It's going into the Supreme Court right now. Our Supreme Court, the CCFR, which stands for Canadian Coalition of Firearms Rights, they're taking the case to our Supreme Court to say, hey, you can't really do this. Like, this is ridiculous. So hopefully this whole gun grab gets shot down, but our Supreme Court's packed with, leftist judges, so I doubtful it'll happen, but you never know. I think the amnesty is going to be extended till next year for the simple fact that they figure there's 2.1 or 2.2 million guns out there that are now prohibited, and only 67,000 as of the last time I looked have been declared, not confiscated, declared. So that's what, 2%, if my math is correct, of the guns they wanted to get. So it's just an utter failure, right? So I think in order to drum up more support, they'll say, well, we'll extend it a little bit to give you guys more time. And honestly, it's just, what's the word I'm looking for?
Despicable.
Prolonging the inevitable.
Clusterfuck.
Yeah. Well, yeah, despicable. Yeah, yeah. So, and the biggest thing is, like any other place, it's the cities controlling what the rest of the country does. So the problems you have in a city, Toronto, Quebec City, Montreal, we don't have out here in Alberta on the farmland, right? So they want to ban the guns in Toronto, not knowing that out here in Alberta, we kind of need the guns for, like Jack was saying about the northern provinces, all the animals that scare the ever-living shit out of the rest of the world. Where I live, we have the same type of animals, just bigger, right? That they can survive minus 40 weather. So that's kind of why we have the guns we have. So taking them away is pointless to us. And that's kind of, I think, why that 8% of us has flipped the bird to the government saying we're not doing it.
Well, you mentioned that number, Canada Heavy Haul. Kyle Johnston, thanks for being here tonight. And Jack Alexander from Australia is here tonight also. On the screen is another Canada government Freudian.
You're right, government.
Yeah, which says declaration, because there were some drop dead dates, and one has just passed. Declaration period for the assault style firearms compensation program closing with more than 67,000, and you were right, 67,000 firearms declared for compensation. So the article here says specifically the nationwide declaration period of the assault style firearm. So apparently Canada says, well, it doesn't matter if it is or if it isn't. But if we think it's a style, which is where I get the, oh, it's so scally compensation program for individuals ended on March 31st, 2026. So your ability to be compensated to include the buyback has ended. And so is two questions, Canada Heavy Haul. Have they not set, your government, have they not set themselves up for a terrific failure? That's one question. And then the second question is, it pushes baby, we said don't do this, but it pushes baby into a corner in terms of, okay, then what are you going to do about it?
Yes. So, sorry, I'm thinking about the first question here. I got to think of a good answer.
Well, the first question, that's okay. The first question was, how are they going to pull this off? And the second question was, let me maybe see if I can
push themselves into a corner.
Yeah.
So, the first question, I don't think they're going to pull it off. Like I said, it's up to the Supreme Court, and that can go either way. Kind of leaning towards the way of the government, but it can go either way. That number 67,000, like I said, that's. Oh, I wish I had my calculator here. I'd be able to do the math. It's less than 5% for sure of the guns they wanted.
2% is the number I've seen quoted. 2% was the number I saw quoted.
Yeah. So, and expect that number to drop too, because you can withdraw from that declaration as well. And a lot of people are having second thoughts and withdrawing from the declaration. So expect that number to drop where people just say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore, because as of now, it is quote unquote voluntary until the amnesty ends, and then it becomes law, which, like I said, I think will be extended. And are they pushing themselves into a corner? I think they are, but over the last 10, 11 years, as we've all seen, the way the Liberal government of Canada can weasel their way out of scandals is fascinating to me.
Okay.
Like, if anybody else had the same scandals that the Liberal government up here has had, they'd be 6 feet under 3 days ago and not running the country anymore, right? So I don't think they're going to paint themselves in a corner. I think they're just going to trudge forward and keep going with the way they're going until finally a revolution or something like that happens.
And I can see a way how how people in the back rooms of the Canadian government might actually be celebrating at the fact that only 2% have come forward to nominate this, because then they can turn around and go public. Okay, the 67,000 people that have declared, you get your payback. Everyone else gets nothing.
Yeah, and they've already said that, Jack. They've already come out and said, yeah, well, too bad, so sad. These people are getting their money, you're not, so, oh well, right?
Well, the date was written into the law. The drop dead date for any kind of compensation was 2 days ago.
Yeah, 31st for any kind of compensation.
So that ship has sailed. Those birds have have flown. They've already pooped on the faces of everybody. So this is.
Can I just ask a side question here?
Yes.
How much of this gun grab has to do with the 4 Canadian provinces that are talking about seceding to the United States?
Oh, this deserves.
Very good question.
Yeah, baby. Because, Hashtag Alberta.
I mean, what is it? Alberta, Saskatchewan,
Alberta,
British
Saskatchewan,
Columbia.
Yukon, Northwest Territories.
Yeah.
BC, I don't count on BC. There. So, BC, the only reason BC is NDP, which is our Communist Party over here, is because of Vancouver. The rest of the province is pretty much like Alberta. But because Vancouver has such a huge population,
yeah,
they'd be able to, they can control what the rest of the province is.
Oh, well, 40% of Vancouver, by the way, if people don't know already, is Chinese.
Yeah, damn near. It's slowly going towards Middle Eastern now, though.
Okay, perfect. Because hashtag why not?
Well, look, the fact that they're moving Middle Eastern doesn't stop them. I mean, look what happened with the shooting in Bondi. They were Middle Eastern, and they actually
have that same problem here.
And they followed the new gun laws here. I mean, you can only purchase 2 firearms in a 12-month period here, and and you can only purchase one at a time. And there's a 90-day waiting period on it. So the 2 guys that were involved in the Bondi shooting planned that operation for at least 3 years. And all the gun buybacks and that. I mean, they use bolt action rifles and double barrel breaker action shotgun. You know, it hasn't. And here's one of the facts that the liberal media, whenever they cover Australian gun laws for the United States, more people have been killed by so-called illegal firearms in Australia since 1996 than the 200 years combined that preceded it.
Yes.
It hasn't worked. Gun control in Australia has not worked. And most of the illegal guns that are coming into the country are being imported, fully disassembled to their component levels, and smuggled in by a certain Middle Eastern religion of peace. Even the Australian Federal Police have had to acknowledge that they're aware of at least 20,000 Glock pistols that were smuggled into the country as scrap metal and toy guns because of the polymer frame, and then reassembled here. You know, a large portion of them, that there's any estimate, according to the AFP, of 1,500 to 2,000 of those have a giggle switch on them. And the government has only ever retrieved about 1,000 of the 20,000 guns they're aware that got sent to the country. Where are all these guns? They keep turning up in these shootings.
Let me also go here, because you've spoken about this before, and anytime that you're on and we remotely address firearms, I also want to have you make this point, Jack Alexander. There's an article up there right now by the Rand Corporation that says the effects of the 1996 National Firearms Agreement in Australia on suicide, homicide, and mass shootings. Well, there was a great amount of media propaganda that went out, and it was propaganda because you indicated so quite readily essentially any time that you've been on. But there are things that are intentionally not addressed by the American media, maggots, and media from all around the globe. So everyone was saying and postulating that, oh, well, all these deaths are going to go down. Well, Jack Alexander, fill us in, if you will. Since 1996, how have these confiscations, because that's what they are, they weren't buybacks, they were confiscations, how have they happened to affect crime? Positively, I'm sure, right? No more gun crime?
Oh, it's worked positively for the criminal. Because it's actually a felony to defend yourself from someone breaking into your home here. I mean, with that image of the guy that took the double barrel shotgun off the Bondi shooter. The reason he didn't pull the trigger, it's been hypothesized, is that he would have been charged. And this is how messed up the laws are here. The New South Wales Minister for Police, the top cop in the state, went to visit the new training range built for at the police academy in New South Wales. He got to handle the assault weapons that Victoria Police was and put live rounds downrange. He actually violated Australian firearms laws because he was not an authorized licensed individual to handle and operate those weapons, even though he was the Minister for Police at a police training site under the supervision of police firearms instructors. Technically, he broke the law.
Yeah, that's a bit much.
There's another article. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah. Well, I'm just kind of bouncing off what Jack said there. So in Canada, it's a gray area about self-defense. We can use reasonable force to defend ourselves. Property is a whole other thing that I'm not going to get into, but livelihood, we're allowed to defend ourselves as long as we use reasonable force, which means, if somebody punches me, I can't turn around with a pistol and shoot him in the head. I can punch him back. And if you decide to use a bat, then I can use a bat, right?
Yeah.
It escalates.
Here's how they're getting around it here. Yes, the police make the argument you can use reasonable force. Then the crooks go around and use our workplace safety laws.
Jeez. I see that.
Yeah, we don't have
I've got a ton of ones here. There's an incident that I've told Beezy about previously. A rapist breaks into a woman's apartment, drugs her, and rapes her for 3 days. Now, she was a hemophiliac who got some bad blood in the 80s and wound up with HIV. Who wound up on the sex predator on the sexual offenders registry? She did, because even though she was drugged unconscious, she didn't inform the rapist that she was HIV positive.
Oh God!
If you were to break into my home and you were to trip on my kid's skateboard, you can legally prosecute me under the workplace safety laws in Australia for me not supplying you a safe place for you to do your crime.
Because that's important.
We don't have that.
That's how messed up it is here. So while, yes, I might not get charged for, beating you with a cricket bat, or a baseball bat for breaking in, I will get prosecuted under the workplace laws for bullying you at your place of employment.
Yeah, and see here, like I said, we don't have a castle law. I know the province I live in, Alberta, we're slowly working toward the castle law, but we have reasonable force laws, and because of what's happening in today's economy and stuff like that. I shouldn't say economy, but today's world where gun crime is coming up, they are starting to move towards saying, if somebody breaks into your house with a pistol, you're allowed to shoot them basically, because it's that split second decision making time. 3 a.m, you're asleep and somebody smashes a window, you don't know what the hell's going on. You walk downstairs and they have a gun. Great, it's that split second thought, well, I have to protect my family. So they're slowly working towards you being allowed to do that. There's been a few cases in Alberta and in Ontario in the last couple of years where people have shot and killed their intruders because that's what happened. They came downstairs and buddy had a gun. And they pulled out their gun, shot him, killed him. The victim's family tried to sue, and then the legislation was like, yeah, no, you can't sue him for that because, A, he broke into the house to begin with, so he's breaking the law. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. You don't know what the hell's going on, so you were protecting your family. So like I said, they're slowly working towards it. Whether we have a full-on stand your ground or castle law, I don't think so. But at least they're working towards having protections in place for the individual to protect themselves over life and limb, right? Property is going to be a different thing, but life and limb definitely I think they're going to have some protections for the individual.
And it hasn't stopped the gang violence and the street violence here. I mean, now they've put in a ban on possession of swords and machete. You can't buy a machete at a camping store anymore. You've got to now go. I don't even know how you'd go and get one now.
Do you have to?
God help it if you've got to go to the police to get a permit. No, I don't think you're allowed them anywhere. I mean, in my old house, not where I'm living, I don't have a suitable part for it, but I had this nice bookshelf directly behind me when I opened up the front door. And on top of that stood 2 katanas. And it was a very intimidating thing there. When people knocked on the door and you say, go away, and because the religion of peace has been relentless in this area when it comes to fundraising for their symbols of conquest, building mosques. And a lot of these guys knocking on the door for donations do not want to take no for an answer. So you sort of reach over, pick it up, and say, and they finally get the hint. But first police officer they see, they play the victim. Because here, I mean, we're supposed to be this melting pot, and Canada and England. Well, England's a little bit further down the road than we are. Canada's closely following us, and if the US doesn't get their head out of the woke arseholes of the left, you're going to be in the same condition. These groups keep pushing for these laws, and like in Canada, what you got your safety ministers from India or Pakistan, originally. Of course, especially if he's Pakistani, he's Muslim. If he's Pakistani, then he's Muslim. Of course, they want the public disarmed. It makes it easier for things like the Bondi incident to happen because no one's going to be able to shoot back. When I keep looking at the Bondi footage, the number of people that had their phones up videoing that were in easy engagement distance for handguns.
That's true.
They could have stopped this thing on the spot with well, look, would there have been no deaths? No. But there would not have been as many deaths because you cannot legislate your way out of people doing evil things. It hasn't stopped people driving their motor vehicles into protests here. It hasn't stopped people setting fire to churches with people in them. It hasn't stopped people stabbing people. It hasn't stopped people committing evil. It stopped the people that want to live in peace from being able to defend themselves and rely more and more on government.
Let me interject right now. We're going to have to take a break. Jack Anderson, Jesus. Who? Thanks for being here, Jack Alexander. I didn't know your last name was Anderson, but I will respect your wanting me to call you Jack Alexander. And also Kyle Johnston, Canada Heavy Hall. Thank you both for being here tonight. This is, by the way, if you want to, if you're on X and you want to follow Canada Heavy Hall, Kyle, he is there at, as you can see on the screen, at Canada Heavy Hall, at Canada Heavy Hall. I am BZ. We will take our final break.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Mission log. I mean, let's face it, who's even counting anymore? The Lost Wonder is officially off course, chasing rogue rocket launches, fringe science, and things that probably violate causality. If it burns fuel, bends time, or makes scientists very uncomfortable, yeah, I'm probably going to talk about it. Every other Sunday on KLRN Radio, The Lost Wanderer, because space doesn't come with a roadmap, and honestly, I wouldn't follow if it did.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Hey fellas, are you mission ready? You need to check out Mission Ready Men via Earl Big E Jackson on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and noon Eastern. It's a show that equips you to navigate our society's challenges from a biblical perspective with courage and conviction. Tune into Mission Ready Men as we examine our culture through the prism of biblical truths, teachings, and how to apply them in our daily lives. Prepare to step up, stand out, and step into your role as a man as ordained by God. That's Mission Ready Men, hosted by Earl Jackson on the SHR Media Network. And get mission ready.
Want to make an immediate difference in the life of a critically ill child? You have the ability to do that right now. Make a donation to Dream Makers for Life, the organization that restores dreams to seriously ill children and their families. You can sponsor a dream pack for a child, which contains a clear PVC backpack, a dry erase board adventure coloring book, a journal, and dry erase markers to inspire a critically ill child to envision a future adventure and hope. Want to become a dream maker for life yourself? Go to dreamforlife.org. That's dreamforlife.org. Help a child. Help a family. There is always hope.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Well, folks, I'm BZ. It's the final half hour of the show. Kudos to everyone who is stuck through thin and thin tonight. And it's Thursday. Well, it's tomorrow. It's tomorrow where Jack is. It's tomorrow on the East Coast. And so today is April the 2nd, one day past April Fool's Day. And thanks for all the people who have taken the time to be here. Thanks to Jack Alexander over here for being present. And Jack, I forgot to do this in, well, first, oh, come on, folks. First, you know what's coming.
Folks, this is BZ's final hour. Step up. Last call for alcohol.
And of course, I forgot Jack's personal intro.
It's a magical step into the future. Tomorrow's news today with Australia's Jack Alexander here in the Berserk Bobcat Saloon.
And another pause for the truth.
Behold the ancient, obese, conservative Sherpa in his natural element, a wondrous cornucopia of vibrant foliage festooned upon his face, various tiaras adorning that scabby pate, creating a veritable carnival of conservative cogitations and, some might posit, an overload of bulbosity, unrestrained. Please, citizens, avail yourselves of his liquid offerings as the saloon continues, unabated, like bad Bolivian gas station sushi.
Because that's the worst. Everyone, thanks so kindly. A couple more stories to go into. I honestly, nobody else from SHR called in or came in. So we're going to continue this all the way up to the very end about firearms, because there are some other things that I want to talk about here. Jack, you had something you wanted to interject?
I was just going to say maybe that thing should say tomorrow's gas prices today.
Oh, comma, cat poop. Yeah. Why don't you talk about that? Because they're so bad that I was even thinking about, hey, let's call up Jack, make a video, and then play it later on. Since you opened that door, let's walk through it. Jack, gas. Hello.
Anyone want to have a guess at what I paid for fuel this week?
Now, is your first very important differentiation? Are you standard unleaded or are you diesel?
I'm running diesel.
Okay. All right. Then I know it's going to be jacked up just on that. The death that you have to run for that. Okay. What's the price? Hit me.
Okay. I paid the equivalent of $13 US a gallon this week.
Wow. And
here's the messed up thing. We don't get any fuel from that part of the world. We've got a senator blaming Donald Trump for the massive high gas prices and the fact that the gas companies aren't paying their fair share of tax, yet she's the one responsible for creating the tax code. She doesn't see the connection, and she hasn't picked up a history book to show that the Middle East and the Islamic-run OPEC countries have been using gas prices as a form of financial terrorism against the Western world since 1972.
so from where do you get your fuel, Jack?
Well, we used to have refineries in Australia. We used to be relatively fuel self-sufficient. But some brilliant people in the woke left, like in the environmentalist Green Party, decided that we needed to start closing down all the fuel refineries in Australia to the point that there are only 2, which isn't capable of producing 10% of the daily needs of Australian fuel.
And the 90%
The majority of our
from
fuel comes in pre-refined from Indonesia after that oil has been exported from Australia to be refined.
Oh, okay. So there isn't just one middleman. and love, this is the delicious irony component of this is, okay, gas going out from Australia, going to Indonesia, the point of which I'd like to make, hey, people seem to think that most of the muzzies around the world, they're in the Middle East. No, they're in Indonesia. So
Indonesia
the muzzies
is the most populous Islamic country on the planet.
Thank you. And so your valuable fuel goes to them. They then do their thing and then they sell it back to you. And they have you have to transport it over and you have to transport it back. So that's cheap too, I'm sure, right?
Considering most of
So
the
I have
fuel
a question for you, Jack, if you don't mind me asking.
Hit it.
Yeah. Yep.
Speaking of gas prices, so have you heard about the natural gas ship that you guys sent over to Canada here recently?
I have
the
not.
LNG ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know all about that, right?
Yeah, I think you bought the natural gas at like 3 cents a liter.
Okay, Kyle Johnston,
Yeah.
I didn't hear about it. So tell me like I'm stupid because I am.
Okay, so it's a very ironic thing. So as you know, Jack, and as you know, BZ, we have the world's third largest oil deposit in the world is in Canada, and actually in my province, Alberta. We have lots of natural gas and coal, gold, silver, all that stuff. So for the longest time, and kind of go back to about your question about us seceding from the Union, we've had a very hard time trying to refine our own oil, refine our own gas, because of the people in Ottawa. We have a pipeline, you might recall it was called Energy East. You're trying to build a pipeline from Alberta over to refineries in New Brunswick so we could refine our own oil and our own gas. Bunch of protests saying, oh, they don't want our dirty oil and this and that, so it got kiboshed. Now they're running so low on natural gas. Instead of, going to their next door neighbor saying, hey, can we have some for, 2 to 5 cents a liter, right? They would rather ship it from Australia, burn all that diesel fuel to get it over here, and the carbon footprint alone on that, I can only imagine, because the fuel oil in a diesel ship's way worse than what we put in our vehicles.
Huge.
It's
heavy diesel.
It's hypocritical, right? You don't want us to build a pipeline that's underground that will never fail in 60, 70 years because it's so regulated here to bring gas from Alberta out east, but you'll take a ship that one wave could capsize it and it sinks to the bottom of the ocean, kills all the fish, right? It makes no sense to me.
Now, never expect a leftist to make a good argument, because they lack the ability to conjure the nature of humans, and they have no concept about this strange thing called unintended consequences. They can see something that they write if it's directly in front of their face, and maybe so close to their face that a sheet of paper couldn't be placed between the two. And yet they're shocked, I tell you, at the unintended consequences of same.
And you know how much that same natural gas is being sold for in Australia? About $1 a litre.
I don't know how much.
$1 a litre. And the reports is that 3 cents that Australia's charging Canada is something like a 500% profit markup. So we are really getting gas. And look, just on the diesel for my Kia Carnival, right? The fuel excise tax is 52.6 cents per litre. Then there's also the road user charge, which is 32.4 cents a litre. On top of that, we have a consumption tax of 10%. Now, the government have just announced this last week, we're going to cut the fuel excise in half. We're going to knock 25 cents a litre off. The day after that announcement, the cost of diesel jumped up by 50 cents.
Who could possibly have seen that coming?
Well, because the long weekend's coming up, right? That's why.
God, long weekend.
Yeah, well, there's that.
Jesus.
But I mean, because even after all these excises are put on there, with the goods and services tax, I mean, the government is raking in billions because the cost of fuel has more than doubled. That means the tax, what they get, would you rather collect 10% of $1.50 a litre or $3.20 a litre?
Well, that's it. So another question for you, Jack, if you don't mind. I don't know if you know the industry or not, but so the road trains you guys have over there, and I think my buddy Gordon McGill's listening to this because I told him he had to listen. He's a Canadian truck driver.
Good for
he's
you.
driven all over the world. Yeah, he actually ran road trains in Australia for a couple of years too, so he's kind of in the know of how it works over there.
So he's a real trucker.
Yeah, he's a real trucker, right? I pretend to be a trucker with my heavy shit, right?
You got the point I was making.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Anyway, they got massive fuel tanks on them, right? Because they actually carry more fuel than what I do here. So what are they doing to help with the fuel costs, especially with them skyrocketing? Because I own 5 trucks, and I fill these trucks up every day, 1,000+ liters a day. And I'm luckily I negotiated good enough rates that I can cover my fuel costs and I can fuel surcharge, but I'm still feeling the pinch of, $1.82 to $2 a liter of diesel, right? So what are they doing on your side of the pond there to kind of alleviate the pinch?
I saw a release from the federal government today that certain industry operators who have been adversely hit can apply through the Australian Tax Office for some sort of rebate, and it's going to be applied on a case-by-case basis. Now, I mean, it's all when I pulled up the press release, it's all in government legalese doublespeak jargon, so I can't understand it. I'm going to have to, spend money to go to my accountant to say, hey, look, do I qualify for this? Because my fuel bill has gone from $150 a week to over $400 a week.
Yeah.
And that's as a sole operator, that's a big pill to swallow.
Let me ask you a question, Jack. As opposed to petroleum, you bought, I think, because of your driving work that you do, you have a Kia or Hyundai, I believe, van.
Kia Carnival, yeah.
Carnival, a van. So what did you think was the advantage of diesel in that? Or when you bought it, was it more advantageous at that point?
I'm leasing. But yeah, I predominantly wanted a diesel because it's better economy, and the market swings, at least here, don't swing on diesel as fast or as violently as they do for gasoline. It's not uncommon for gasoline during good times to swing 20 to 30 cents per liter in a day.
Holy crap.
Yeah,
Okay.
so essentially, gasoline prices could swing anywhere up to $1 up or down per day, depending on what day of the week it is. I mean, traditionally Tuesdays are the cheapest days to buy fuel in Australia. Fridays and Mondays are usually the most expensive because, well, Friday everyone's got their paycheck, they're going away for the weekend. Monday everyone's coming back and they've got empty tanks. Tuesday, nobody's got any money, so let's charge fuck all for it.
Let me go.
Yeah, it's kind of opposite here.
Okay.
Yeah, it's diesel. Diesel used to be cheaper than gas or petrol, as you call it. I'm well versed in the lingo because I have lots of Australian friends and South African friends. They always talk to me for calling it gas, so petrol. It used to be cheaper than petrol. Gas was diesel, so everybody was buying diesel vehicles, diesel pickups, diesel cars. Volkswagen had a huge uptick in sales because they had the little diesel Jettas and diesel Golfs. And then the country, U.S., I think, did the same thing. Realized, hey, we're losing money on gas because everybody's buying diesel. So all of a sudden, guess what? Now diesel's more expensive. And diesel swings up and down like crazy because so many people run diesel.
And unfortunately here, they're also phasing out propane as a fuel source for vehicles.
We still got propane. It's not very common, but we do still have it. It's hard to find places that'll fill it up. A lot of people are actually going to LNG. A lot of trucking companies, like the mega carriers, we call them over here, big companies, they're starting to go to LNG. They say it's for the climate, quote unquote, but it's because LNG is 70 cents a liter compared to $1.82 diesel. So they're saving over $1 a liter by going to LNG. But
LNG doesn't have the torque capability that diesel
it doesn't have the energy. Propane tanks. There used to be. It doesn't have
the range. They don't have the range either.
Yeah. It doesn't have the energy punch per square inch that a lot of that stuff otherwise does. Califailure, it's interesting, has also said that they're going to be outlawing propane. She don't lie. She don't lie. She don't lie. Propane. We're going out of our way to shoot ourselves in the foot. Before we go, we got about 10 minutes left. I want to address this also with Kyle Johnston, Canada Heavy Haul. And again, thanks for being on the phone with us tonight, sir. By the way, Can you tell us where you happen to be in Canada right now, or is that a state secret?
No, I am currently sitting in a small Ukrainian town in Alberta called Vasetna, but if you look at the sign, everybody pronounces it Vaskatna.
Oh, okay. All righty.
Yep.
Up on the screen, which you can't see right now, is this. And this is where I want to ask you, because it goes directly to Saskatchewan. New firearms commissioner says owners of banned guns are protected by Saskatchewan legislation. So Tuesday was that buyback, but Saskatchewan's incoming firearms commissioner, Blaine Bevan, joined the show that was there to discuss the situation and essentially said to Mark Carney, in no uncertain terms, but not quite like this, bite me.
Yeah. So from what I got from that, because I remember when that came out, and I think Alberta's going to follow suit. Because Alberta and Saskatchewan are so closely tied. Alberta will do one thing, and Saskatchewan does the exact same thing, a week or two later, and vice versa. Saskatchewan will do something. Alberta. Excuse me. But from what I got from that, it basically is you still can't shoot them, transfer them, sell them, buy them. But we will protect you if you can, quote unquote, store them for us until we figure out what's going on. So it's a protection at least, but I don't know if it's going to be the end all be all, right?
Okay. It's getting kind of close to the magic witching hour. I want to play this video for everyone. And of course, Kyle Johnston, you'll be able to hear this as well. So at this point, it's estimated, like we've said earlier, about 98% of Canadians have not complied with the drop dead date, the March 31st, to turn over their banned firearms. So this is the plan. You think there's not a plan? There's a plan, Stan, and it's similar to what you said.
The declaration period for firearms owners is scheduled to end next week. So far, only 2.5% of the estimated 2 million affected firearms have been declared, and 98% of firearms owners haven't made a declaration. So if they're not declaring by next week, what's your plan, Minister?
There you go.
The RCMP and other agencies will.
There's your rancid Pakistani right there. Go.
Will be available throughout the spring and the summer to do the collection.
And you're saying that your plan is over the spring and the summer to deploy RCMP officers to go door to door to firearms owners and seize their firearms?
These are additional resources. So these are those who are off duty, those who may be retired.
I just find that very concerning that we're going to be sending police officers door to door because, frankly, many police forces across the country are refusing to participate in your program. And I think they have very good reasons to not want to participate in this program. And putting people who are no longer serving as RCMP officers going door to door. Are you not concerned about this at all, Minister?
Well, I think you may not understand the full extent of the program, Mr. Lloyd. It's not a door-to-door program. It is a mobile collection will occur.
Oh, stop. Okay. So when they hear the ice cream truck come down their block, ding-a-ling-a-ling, all the people like kids will stream out to their ice cream truck and say, here's my Glock, here's my SIG, here's my bolt action rifle. I'm sure that's going to happen.
The program that we have in place is voluntary, strictly voluntary. So they're not compelled to take part in the program, although
it's not voluntary later this year, asshole.
Compliance with the law is not voluntary. And that, as you're aware, as of October the 31st or 30th of this year, the amnesty that was extended expires.
So after that amnesty expires, what's your government's plan for those firearms owners that might still be in possession of these firearms?
Every police of jurisdiction will, as you're aware, need to enforce the law.
So it's going to be what? An ice cream truck? And that's why I said originally at the beginning of the show and also on social media, you know, the story tonight was, and we're not there yet because there are a lot of things, you know, the point in social media for the show tonight was Canada angling for a civil war. Well, I've heard some things that are indicative of no, not quite so much now, which I have to admit, that's heartening. That's very heartening for me. I think that's a big positive thing. We don't need that crap to tear our nation or your nation apart in a fashion not so terribly dissimilar from Oz down below. So it's good, and I just want to emphasize, if we can, in the last remaining few minutes, Kyle Johnston, Canada Heavy Haul, there are some provinces who have essentially said to Mark Carney, sawed off. And there are some jurisdictions in terms of police agencies who have said, no way, we're not doing that. If for no other reason that nobody wants to go up to the door when you don't know the Mayan of the people, the evil Mayan that might be on the other side of that door, particularly in the United Snakes of America. Molan lave. So that having been said, I myself, Kyle Johnston, thank you, because I have learned some things tonight. And Jack Alexander, I have likewise learned some things from you that I did not know about tonight. So from now, I know that it's so hard to prognosticate, but Kyle Johnston, if you had to, by, what did he say, October 30th, 31st, by that cutoff date, or from there to the end of the year, I know it's tough, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What do you think is going to happen with Mark Carney? I mean, I don't see any other way that this ends except with, at minimum, massive amounts of egg on his face. He's going to look stupid.
I agree. I think he's going to look stupid because, like I said before, 75% of the country, the clear majority, does not want this. And, of course, our referendum for Alberta is October 19th. So Alberta might not even have to worry about it after the 19th, right, when we vote to secede or not secede. So we will see.
Oh, okay. Stop right there. Stop right there. I did not know that was a referendum that is so serious that it's gone on, and you have a date for that. So
yes,
let me interject right now. What do most Albertans think about that?
It's a mixed bowl, to be honest. It's back and forth. We had the Forever Canadian petition that received a bunch of signatures. It was invalidated because they didn't follow the proper channels. But it also triggered our petition for the referendum to secede. And we actually went through Elections Alberta to make sure everything was legit. They just announced, I think, yesterday or the day before, that we actually have the required amount of signatures to have the question put on the referendum. And October 19th, our premier, which is a lot like your governor down in the States, actually it pretty much is your governor, excuse me, has already said there's a bunch of other referendum questions she wants to put to the province. And she set the date for October 19th. So we have our referendum. And I actually have the question here in front of me to secede from the Union, if you will allow me to read it.
Please.
Yes. So the question for Alberta to secede Canada is, do you agree that Alberta shall cease to be a province in Canada and become an independent state? Yes or no? That is the question.
Perfect. It doesn't get more clear or simple than that. Oh boy. Okay. Hey, Kyle Johnston, Canada Heavy Haul, thanks for being here tonight. When you hear more things about that, either with regard to the firearms and or with regard to the secession, would you do me the honor of coming back and speaking to us about that?
Oh, definitely. And I'll try and have a video with you that time, because the last 2 times over the phone, it's great, but it's also nice to just sit back on my bed and just look at a screen, right?
Excellent. Thank you so kindly. I think you have, I don't know. I usually throw this out to the people who come on the show, because invariably they have all sorts of media places that they want to make reference to. On the screen right now is where you can be found on X. Are there any other media places that you'd like to mention, and or your business? Canada Heavy Haul, if you'd like to mention your business as well.
No, I'm only on X. I try to stay away from social media because I know it's just a big mind rot.
It is.
Yeah. It's my business isn't really big. I just own a small trucking company here. It's Johnson and Sons Trucking. It's just I have 5 trucks, a couple of drivers. We just run up and down the highway. We're leased onto other companies, so it's not like I'm looking for work or I'm going to beg for work. We're pretty steady. We're doing pretty good. So, yeah, that's all I need. Jack, it was nice talking to you. I learned a lot from you. A lot of stuff I didn't know. So, great to
You're welcome, man.
And learn some stuff from Australia.
Look, us Commonwealth cousins got to stick together.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
All right. Kyle Johnston, thanks for being here tonight. Canada Heavy Haul. This is where he can be found on X. And thank you for your time. At Canada Heavy Haul, at Canada Heavy Haul. And as per normal and standard, Jack Alexander, any other thing that you'd like to mention about social media, non-social media? Do you like squirrels? When's the last poisonous snake that you've killed? Did you find it in your bathroom? Was it emerging from your toilet, and did it bite a friend of yours on the ass?
Look, I'm not really active on social media at the moment, mostly because I don't want to get arrested by the Australian Internet Police for something I say online. I don't want to offend them too much before I have a chance to maybe escape the shithole. So I'm keeping a fairly low profile where I can. Squirrels, well, we don't have them here. Let's see. No, I haven't killed anything. Mind you, nearly hit a Pakistani Uber Eats driver last night.
Oh,
he just
darn.
walked out in front of me while I was doing 80. Wasn't looking.
Damn it, Jim.
I have the most important question for you, Jim. I should have asked at the start of the show, but which way does your toilet spin when you flush?
Actually, it doesn't spin the way we have a water minimized system here. It's got a centralized. It rinses the side of the bowl, but the front of it shoots a stream that creates a suction that pulls everything down fairly quickly. Now, that being said, if you are pulling the plug out of the bath, it will spin clockwise.
Oh, see, the Simpsons lied because ours spins clockwise too.
Oh, hang on. Have I got it, or have I got it wrong?
You've got it backwards.
I've got it wrong.
Come on, listen. That's when I studied for the aero detail for helicopters and rotor detail. That's called the Coriolis effect.
Yes. No, I got it wrong. No, yeah, it spins the other way.
So it spins
as does our
clockwise.
cyclones, as does our cyclones or hurricanes.
It's clockwise in the northern hemisphere, and it's
Anti-clockwise in the
counterclockwise where you are. That's an important point. Kids, also never say that you don't learn science-y stuff here in the saloon.
And you can't bring a compass from the northern hemisphere down here. If you've got one of the old-fashioned needle compasses, it won't work in the southern hemisphere.
Oh, really? It was just point south.
No. They're it's weighted towards the dominant magnetic force.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Well, the other thing is at night, late at night, they'll steal your cell phone and they'll steal your cell phone and they'll steal your underwear if you've taken it off. Just have to tell you that too. So Never trust them. So thanks for being here, folks. I'm going to have to say TTFN. Jack, thank you for being a great guy, because after all, you are a great guy. And thanks to Kyle Johnston. And this is the point in the show where, oh, damn it, I'm over. Okay, well, it's my show, so I get to anyway. Would have been nice if I turned this up. Anyway, I'm gonna renovate this show. I gotta find out where my overlays went, why I couldn't make them work tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for being here in the saloon. Son of a gunovich. Where I am broadcasting live and direct from the SHR Media No Idaho studios. Promotional consideration, I don't have the overlays to show you, but this is the last week for these promotionals. That is to say, there will be new ones. This is the last appearance of Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, and also by the Shure and Electro Voice microphones and their corporations. Thanks to Arrakis boards, and thanks to Pratt & Whitney engines. Their company produce engines which yield thrust you can trust. Tiaras are by My Little Pony. Haven't really shown you this. And I can't show you this either. Thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team, with whom I shall be consorting in less than 10 minutes. So thanks to everybody for listening, and my guests tonight.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Night, everybody.
Night, Mama. Night, Ben.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Tim Bob. Good night, Tim Bob.
Good night, Tim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Good night, Tim Bob.
Good night, and good luck.